Hello, and welcome to the Street Aesthete channel. Today we're going to be dueling in Geoguessr. The last time you saw me play duels, I was in the Master 2 division, and I'm afraid off camera I dropped out of it. So the goal now is to get promoted out of the Gold 1 division back into Master 2, and we'll make our start right away. We've got our first opponent of the day here, Matt from New Zealand. Okay, Southern Hemisphere. We've got the sun in the north. It certainly looks as though we're driving on the left, judging by the road signs. And so now really it's a question of, is this South Africa or Australia? We've got the white in the middle and the yellow on the outside for the road line, so that tells us South Africa. And I suppose I'm going to put us somewhere in the flat deserty area around Kimberley, Bloemfontein, something like that. Let's try it out. Oh wow, it was actually Botswana. It was generally a little bit less shrubbed than I would normally expect to see Botswana. It was very deserty looking, but it all certainly makes sense. Europe here, the white road lines, most likely Europe anyway. Don't like to rule out Chile, of course, but it's looking unlikely. We've got Playesti Siorani, not sure of the language, but it looks kind of like Romanian to me. So going off language and landscape, I suppose I'm maybe going to put us in the south of the country, because we can't see the Carpathian Mountains anywhere. And we were, just outside of Bucharesti there, and our opponent goes in Slovakia, right in the mountains, so not the best guess there. Flores Vega Laga. Okay, so the language is Spanish. We've got the wooden posts for the fencing, so that's all saying South America to us. And I think Chile comes to mind, really. Somewhere reasonably far south, kind of around Concepcion, Chilan, somewhere like that. Put it in. Our opponent goes Argentina, and it was indeed Chile, just outside of Temuco there. Next up, I think we are in Australia or New Zealand. Our opponent is probably going to be able to tell right away which, but I think I should be able to tell as well. The gum trees would suggest Australia, but that doesn't mean we should rule out New Zealand. But I think it is looking more Australian on the whole, and for that reason, I'm actually going to put us in Tasmania. Maybe near Launceston. Okay. And yeah, it was Tasmania. Our opponent goes in South Africa. So that is GG. If I can get it in time, which I can't. A little bit laggy in the browser today, but a good start to the video. So that is our first win, and we're going to dive straight back in again. We've got a Japanese opponent now, whose name I am not able to pronounce because I'm afraid I cannot read the Japanese characters. Okay, a dirt road here, yellow road sign, Bäckliden. I think this is probably Sweden, although Norway is also possible, as is Finland. It's certainly Scandinavia. I don't know if you would see language like that in Finland, so I'm thinking of Sweden. Yeah, I'm going to put it reasonably far north, but not too far north. Opponent goes Finland, and it was Sweden, but a bit further north, so although we got the right country, our opponent got the better guess. Next up, Europe again, I would say. We've got the white chevrons on a black background on the road, which makes me think of Italy. I don't think we're in Italy, but I do think we're somewhere over in this direction. I'm thinking of Croatia. Not totally sure of it. I might actually just go in the Adriatic, but anyway, no, time's up. And, oh, Greece. Yep. Didn't know about the coloured chevrons in Greece there, but it definitely looked more southerly, so that's certainly a reasonable guess from our opponent there. Quite a tricky one. I'm going to check the sun. It is the northern hemisphere. I'd like to see some language to help us out. I think we might have some Cyrillic here. Yeah. Yes, we do. Okay. With that in mind, where could we be here? Bulgaria comes to mind. As to Serbia. Quite flat. Quite flat indeed. So if it is Serbia, it would be a bit further north, I suppose. It tends to get more mountainous in the south. Bulgaria also... The coverage around here is generally quite wintry. Is North Macedonia a possibility? I'm going to go for Serbia. I think I'm going to take us... I'm going to basically go in the middle of the country. The black and white striped curb, I think, is noteworthy. I don't know what it indicates, but it's going to be something to keep an eye on in the future. We did have Cyrillic, and it was Bulgarian. Yeah, we were right in the north of the country there. Okay, we are driving on the right. I think it's probably South America. Let's just check the language. You are now leaving Maria Cristina. Interesting. Is this actually a double concrete slab pavement here, indicating the Philippines? Iligan seems like it could be Philippine. Yeah, the fact that we haven't actually got Spanish on that road sign is definitely more indicating that this would be the Philippines. Keep distance. Rather American looking car here. Could this actually be one of the American overseas territories? I think this is too poor looking for that. Although it is a work site, at least I think it is. Yeah, I think the Philippines would make the most sense here. Let's put it in. Very difficult to say where, so I'm going to go in the middle. Opponent has the same idea, and it's that little bit further south. And now we start to get into the multiplier rounds. A little bit of snow here. Lots of rubbish on the road. Looks like some lightly snow-clad mountains in the background. I'm going to check the sun. Sun is in the south, so we're definitely northern hemisphere here, which I find a bit confusing. Kind of got this idea about the Caucasus, Ukraine, South Russia, even Kyrgyzstan I could see. Yeah, not at all sure. Opponent also thinks Russia. And it was Kamchatka. Yeah, well, okay, completely wrong end of the country, but the right country at least, other side of the world. Okay, this is Japan. I do not want to give our opponent any time to figure out where we are, given that our opponent is Japanese. I think this is Japan anyway. Is there any chance this is actually Taiwan? No, everything about this is so Japanese. The little boxy cars. I think we're driving on the left. This you don't often see in Japan. You do tend to see it elsewhere, but yeah, it's just a question of whether any of this language is going to give our opponent an advantage. I think not. In terms of the mountains here, they are not exactly densely forested. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, they are. Yeah, Japan is a country I find very difficult to region guess in, so I'm going to basically go in the middle of Honshu. And we'll see if our opponent was able to discern any other interesting clues. Opponent goes in the same place, and I'm actually closer. Pretty surprised about that. Giving the opponent a wave. Alright, we just need that killer blow now. Almost certainly Europe. But look at these great big mountains here. At first glance, I could almost have seen this being the UK, but with the sort of moss-clad wall here. What is that, an EU plate? We've got olive trees here. Yeah, quite a difficult one. I'm sort of thinking about Italy, but without very much certainty. If it is Italy, we're more likely to be up in the Alps. Opponent has the same idea. Wow, and it was the south of Italy. I mean, I have to say I'm surprised about that. Yeah. Interesting round. Now this one, this is going to be tricky for sure. White road lines suggest Europe. Sun in the south, telling us northern hemisphere. But yeah, we're just in the woods here, really. This is unusual. What are the trees that we can see here? This looks like it could perhaps be... No, honestly, I can't quite tell. That I can see is an ash of some kind. Just trying to work out whether these trees are familiar enough for this to be Europe, because I would hate to guess in the wrong continent. Yeah, I've really not got any great ideas here. I'm going to basically go in the middle of Europe, but I could see us being somewhere over in Asia as well. Okay, it was Hungary, so my Slovakia guess has definitely paid off there, and our opponent is just hanging on by a thread, having guessed in Turkey. And here we are in, I think this is Africa. We seem to be driving on the left, although I did think of Rwanda. They drive on the right there. So, with such red soil, we would be thinking about, I think Uganda would have to make sense for driving on the left, but it looking rather like Rwanda, this East African sort of look. I think we're probably in Kampala, because all of the coverage in Uganda that I'm aware of is there. So where do we think the core of the city is? We definitely seem to be on the outskirts. Yeah, hard to say really. I think just middle of Kampala is going to have to do. Opponent goes in Kenya, and it was indeed Kampala, and that is GG. Okay, so our opponent did play well there, really got some good guesses in, but wasn't quite enough. So we are now actually in the promotion zone for this week. Now, it really is only the start of the week, so everything can change, but for now things are looking good and we'll play on. We've got the same opponent again from Japan. We'll give a wave, and let's see if we can make it 2 for 2. I think this has got to be India, going by the camera quality and by some of these concrete looking buildings over here. And I'm sort of reminded of the region right up in the northwest here, Punjab. I think that would make sense. Although, is it a bit... Yeah, no, it would make sense for it to be reasonably dry. I'm going to go kind of on the edge of that region. I won't commit right to the very top of the country, but I do think we're probably up there somewhere. If not, it's a big country. It's a big country, and some parts of it that are wildly distant from each other might look similar. Okay, opponent goes in the middle. Oh wow, okay, and it was down in the, not quite in the deep south, but in the south of the country. So, yeah, that was a big commitment for the first round, but hey. This looks like Russia. Can't quite confirm the language there, but everything about this is looking Russian. Just checking to see if we've got the red car blurred in case this is Ukraine. Yeah, I think Russia is pretty much a dead cert here. And now it's a question of how far east do we want to go? I might go kind of halfway between Kazan and Chelyabinsk. Yeah, we could certainly be further east, but I'm just going to try it out. I would say the road quality is not quite good enough here to indicate that we're anywhere near Moscow. Opponent goes in Bulgaria, and we were south of Kazan there, near Samara. So yeah, that is pretty good guess, given that we could have been anywhere along that whole longitude. Okay, we've got the funnel, the snorkel here on the car. The sun is, I think the sun is in the south, so we're northern hemisphere. I think everything is pointing towards Kenya here. So I'm just going to basically put it in the middle, but just north of the equator. Opponent also in Kenya, and a little bit closer. Okay, we appear to be in Europe. Yeah, we've got an EU plate there to confirm it. But it's just a motorway, basically. And they do tend to look fairly similar wherever you go, so we'll have to look for other clues. We've got 2023 or 4 coverage there. 23. Yeah, Germany is certainly a possibility with this big road infrastructure. Not the only place that we could see something like this, but are there any other clues that we can glean? Any language here? Opponent guesses, piling the pressure on. Not that it's been a particularly high pressure game. I'm just going to go for the middle of Germany, I think. Opponent further south in Croatia. Wow, getting the right country there. A good guess. I wonder what gave it away. Very interesting landscape. Wow. Take a look at those mountains. So, the sun appears to be in the north, which confirms the southern hemisphere, which I was suspicious about. And everything about this is kind of pointing to southern Chile for me, although Chile tends to have white road lines everywhere, but we do only have one yellow line, and we are driving on the right, so yeah, I'd like to put us right down in the south. How south? I'm not sure I'd like to commit all the way, but no, everything about this is looking very south, but we're on a fairly big road, so I don't know really quite where we'd see. This area is all a bit of a blur to me, to be honest, but you tend to be able to recognize it when it comes up. Opponent in Uruguay, wow, and it was actually Argentina, right down in the far south, Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire. Yeah, Uruguay doesn't have any mountains like that, as far as I know. Sun is in the south, so in northern hemisphere here. I think it's Europe, and that is a very European-looking town on the horizon there. But that sort of concrete water tower thing definitely points me a little bit further east, but I don't know if I want to go by that necessarily. A flat landscape. Romania kind of came to mind. I might just go for it, to be honest, but I'm going to hedge a bit further west in case we are any further west. Opponent goes in Germany. Oh, it was France, and just outside of Paris. Do you know, France did occur to me, but I didn't want to trust my gut on that occasion. Perhaps I should have done Tete, El Nido, Dumaran, Calawag. Interesting collection of names there. Some of them very Spanish, some of them not. I think this is the Philippines. We've got a divided double concrete road He could certainly be a Philippine gentleman. Yeah, I think we go Philippines here. And when you get oil palms like that, is it more likely to be north or south? I do not know. I've kind of got a feeling about the south, so I'm not going to commit right to the south, but I'm going to go south of the middle. It's a pretty closely matched game here. Not sure which way this is going to go. I think most likely we'll both get the country and we'll both survive to the next round. Opponent. Ooh, yeah, okay, so we're on this island here. I'm not sure if that's a Philippine island or if it's an Indonesian island. But anyway, we take the win. And it looks like if we win one more, we can shoot to the top of the leaderboard. So 3 games played. Let's play our 4th. We've got a Russian opponent here. Not sure what's going on with the different fonts in the name. But anyway, we're in the British Isles here. It's now just a question of discerning whether this is Britain or Ireland. This wall to me looks very Irish, I would say. Although it's not impossible that you could see it in the UK. Can't quite read that. But yeah, let's just take a look at this car. I can't tell if we've got an EU plate there. This could well be Britain. Some lovely chestnut trees. You know, I do think we're on the island of Ireland, but I do also think because of that car that we're in the UK. So I'm going for Northern Ireland without loads of confidence. Opponent goes, yeah, outside of Manchester, and we were in the Republic of Ireland. In fact, our opponent goes south of Sheffield. Would be more accurate, in the Yorkshire Dales there, or maybe at the very top of Derbyshire. Now, these window casements you see very often in Malta, and going off the language here, I would say that is precisely where we are. Villa San Lorenzo. Yeah, could this be Spain though? I mean, these are Maltese architectural features. But in fact, does that have... No, I can't. I was thinking that might say Malta, but yeah, the stone and the sort of the dustiness is all making sense for Malta, so let's go with it. And Malta is a very densely urbanized island. I don't think we're in Valletta here, we're somewhere outside. Yeah. Oh, we'll just kind of go roughly in the middle, not too far from the urban core. And I don't think it's unlikely that that is Spanish. I think that's probably Maltese, this Idmeja, I'm not sure how you would pronounce that. Or what Trick might be short for. Anyway, opponent goes in Spain, and it was indeed Malta. And we were, yeah, pretty much in the right sort of area there. Not that it's difficult to guess the right area of Malta. Okay, we are driving on the left here. We've got the snorkel on the car. This is almost certainly Kenya. Let's just check the sun. Sun is in the south, putting us in the northern hemisphere. So we'll go for just north of the equator in Kenya. It's also looking very green, so I'm sort of hedging a little bit further to the west. Yeah, let's put it in. Opponent goes further south, and yeah, it's a pretty great guess, to be honest. Very happy with that. Okay, we are back in the British Isles. And, can I even see a place name? Wrexham, great. Well, let's see. We're 10 miles from Wrexham, and it is over to our east. We've also got some Welsh road signs there, so we are certainly going to be in Wales, just west of Wrexham. So somewhere in this sort of area. The A525, the 5104. See if we can spot any of those A roads. The 525 is here. and where it meets the A501. We see the A501. We've just got to find where the two roads meet, basically. But we have to be 10 miles outside of Wrexham. The A525 continues here. This is not the kind of thing that I'm generally particularly good at, even in my home country, pinpointing the 5k. I tend to go more off of vibes, more of a vibes player. I'm just not seeing this A501. Let's see where Chester is relative to us. Okay, so Chester is more over there. So yeah, we could be... Yeah, we do know we're on this road. Okay, well, I think it's probably somewhere more or less like that. Could have been a bit further west, actually. I think that's probably not quite 10 miles. Yeah, that's more like it. 10 miles. It's a small country, isn't it, Wales? Perfect for straight line missioning. Okay, I think that's the sun there in the northern hemisphere. In the north, rather, which puts us in the southern hemisphere. And we've got cacti about, suggesting South America. Is this a very dry part of Argentina, perhaps? Are we up around here? That certainly comes to mind. The sun is not over there in the south at all. So yeah, this is definitely the sun. So southern hemisphere is correct. Now, is there any chance that this could be South Africa? I don't think so. I think we would have the white road lines on the outside. So yeah, I think we've got the right sort of area here. But it's not... I mean, it's dry, but it's not like super dry and dusty. So I won't go too far north. We'll go just outside of Mendoza, I think. Opponent in South Africa, and it was quite a bit further south in Argentina, and that is going to be GG to our Russian opponent. Great, we're taking on all of our opponents with not exactly ease, but in comfort so far. We're at the top of the leaderboard, having played 4 games. I'd like to play a couple more before the end. And we've got our Japanese friend back again. We'll give a wave. I think it's only fair to let this player have another crack. Okay, Sunli Mota. But where are we? Full Gospel Church. Onsheng, yeah, lots of kind of Chinese language about. Interesting. The sun is in the south, so we're northern hemisphere here. Okay, Pair Kid Matan. Yeah, this is some sort of Indonesian or Malaysian, perhaps. I think Malaysia making more sense. Lots of white road lines, the black and white striped curb. Yeah, Malaysia makes sense, I would say. So it's a question of whereabouts in the country. And it's looking fairly affluent. So I'd be thinking of near Singapore or maybe outside of Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, I think we'll go for that, outside Kuala Lumpur. Of course, we could be over on... Yeah, I was going to say we could be over on the island of Borneo. And we were in Sarawak there. Didn't really think to go for that, but neither did our opponent. So we play on. This is the Faroes, I think. Got to be the Faroe Islands, yeah. What a picturesque place. And let's see if we can pinpoint exactly where we are. So we've got this inlet coming in from the north. And the Faroes are just over here. So we're somewhere maybe... somewhere like this. Gosh, I don't know. Haven't quite got time. I would love to spend the time to pinpoint it, but we haven't quite got the time on this occasion. Yeah, I was thinking about somewhere up over there. Very good. I knew it had to be relatively open. And that was a bit too closed. Everything over here was too enclosed by the islands. Okay, very first idea is Uruguay, but I'd like to spend a bit of time confirming that. The sun we can't see. Overcast is not uncommon in Uruguay. Can't read that, but it's set up for driving on the right. And actually, yeah, this is quite these cliffs don't necessarily say Uruguay to me. So I'm thinking more of Argentina now, but I'm not going to go too far from Uruguay. Yeah, just outside of Cordoba. Opponent goes in the US, and wow! It was the US. I really dropped the ball on that one. Didn't even occur to me that that could be the US, and we were in Nebraska there. Yeah. Wow, that's a big chunk of damage there for our opponent. And now, Europe or the Americas? I think Europe with this kind of architecture. Probably in the Alps. This sort of stonework I could see in Andorra and Spain, so maybe the Pyrenees actually would make sense. Could this even be Andorra? Copyright is 2020. That doesn't mean anything to me, I'm afraid. Could be Italy as well, I suppose. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Pyrenees more than the Alps at the moment. But I don't think it is Andorra, which is very distinctive given how little coverage there is, so I'm going to go just on the Spanish side of the border, and I'm going to keep over to the east in case it is actually the Alps. Okay, opponent is in Sweden, and yeah, it was Italy. It wasn't even the Alps, it was whatever the mountains around here are. Yeah, really could have pressed the advantage there, but did not. Okay. Panaderia Sagittario. So some kind of bakery. Con for with, so we've definitely got Spanish language here. Sun is in the... yeah, sun is in the north, so we're southern hemisphere. And... pretty affluent looking, isn't it? Pretty rich. I'm thinking of Chile, although I wouldn't necessarily rule out Argentina. Oh, and yeah, we've got this sort of style of road sign, which is definitely around here. Yeah, I'm going to go for pretty far south, I think, in Chile. Again, between Concepcion and Temuco. Just outside of Los Angeles. And we were south of Temuco, so not a bad guess there. Opponent also gets Chile. Alright then. Cambodia, beer sign there. And the red soil is making sense for that. We can't see it, but I think that is Khmer script. Although, is it? It looks a bit different, that script. No, that's Khmer, I think. So, we basically just put it in the middle, I think. Maybe a little bit further to the west for the red soil. On the edge of the lake I've gone. And yeah, a bit further north. Just wearing our opponent back down. Evening the score up. Okay, we're driving on the left here. At least I think we are. And... Buddhist Publication Society. My very first thought was Singapore, but I don't think that's correct. Still, yeah, I suppose I might go for it, you know? Go with your gut. Opponent goes in Colombia. It was Sri Lanka. So, that was an interesting round. Colombia did not occur to me. South America did not occur. Opponent really dropped the ball there. Thought they could rush me into a bad guess. Here I'm thinking about Eastern Europe, even Russia. Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I'm going to go for kind of the border of Russia and Ukraine, but no, that can't be right. No, maybe we go a bit further south, more towards the Caucasus. Oh no, Montenegro. And that's it. Our Japanese opponent finally gets a win in against us. Well deserved, to be honest. I I made some pretty bad guesses on that in that game, guessing South America in the US, and I just got rattled on that last round by the quick guess. But anyway, 5 games. Let's get another one in. See if we can end on a high. And we've got Inky in it, our Australian opponent for this game. Looks like Europe to me. Yeah, I would say so. Some kind of terracotta roofs here. Some iron road infrastructure. This bridge. Yeah, it's a tricky round. It's a tricky round to get started with. Our opponent is confused. I think a bit further south. Feels quite warm. Yeah. Might go kind of Hungarian-Croatian border, although... yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky round. Opponent goes in Poland, and it was Czechia. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we've got the big Google car here. Driving on the right. The sun is more north than south, so southern hemisphere. And this definitely could be South American, but also Asian. Does this say, or does the, yeah, what does this say? Does this say South America or Asia? Yeah, very, very tricky. I don't like anything about this. I don't think we're in Brazil, but I'm guessing Brazil. Yeah, I'm pretty stumped. Oh, it was Panama. I think even if I had checked the copyright year, 2024, that still wouldn't have helped me. Anyway, let's get back into it, shall we? Turpil, Pare. Okay, this all looks like Colombia to me. Let's see if we can spot any yellow license plates. Yeah, I think that more or less confirms Colombia. And yeah, it'll just put us in the middle, really, not too far outside of Bogota. Opponent goes further south, and yeah, it's a great guess. Yeah. It's a shame about that Panama round. I was really stumped. And the fact that our opponent kept giving us confused signs was making me think that he also was stumped. Anyway, the language here is, yeah, Swedish. We've got .se. And reasonably mountainous here, so we're probably going to be more on the kind of the Norwegian side of the country, on the west. Yeah. I don't like all this emoting. I think that's all a bit excessive. As a more, shall we say, staid, that's S-T-A-I-D, a more staid Brit, I tend to find Australians a bit overexcitable. But I've got a lot of affection for them. So we're in Europe here. I would say the Baltics, going by the architecture. Could also be Russia though. 2019 coverage definitely suggests Russia a bit more. I think the dirt road says that also. So yeah, I'm going to go kind of in the west of Russia here, not too far from the Baltics. Opponent in Romania, and it was Latvia. So definitely the right idea with the Baltics. And we're starting to equalise. That is enough emoting, my friend. I don't need it. I don't need all that. Okay, it's Japan. This sort of thing you can see in lots of parts of the country. But the sunflowers definitely suggest a little bit further south, I would say. So yeah, let's go over in this region. Opponent with a similar idea, and it's actually quite a bit further north, outside of Sendai. Alright, let's make the decisive blow, I think. We've got a white road line here, so Europe is probable. Bit of an off-road dirt path here. And the foliage is looking fairly familiar, I would say. This could even be the UK, but something about it doesn't feel quite right. I'm actually going to go for France here. Nice! Wow. I mean, that was even a better guess than I thought it was going to be. Just outside of Nancy there. Yeah, really happy with that guess. I suppose the thought process for me there was, this looks like the UK. I'm seeing beech saplings, I'm seeing lots of familiar foliage, but there's just something about it that is just a little bit more remote and untamed than you would tend to see in the UK. So for that reason, France was speaking to me. We're going to play one more game for this video, because I'm so happy with that guess. I'd like to consolidate with more of a win streak here. If you've been enjoying the music that you hear in this video, then take a look at my first channel, which is where I upload all of my original music, which you've been hearing throughout this video. And here is our final opponent for this video, a German. And we have got what looks like Spanish language here. I'd say this is South America, looking very Peruvian on the whole. And the red and white bunting there, suggestive of the colours of the Peruvian flag. So yeah, I like Peru for this. The mountains in the background there, big mountains. Yeah, I'm not really very good at region guessing at all in Peru, which is why I've gone for the middle. It looks dry, doesn't it? It looks reasonably dry, but not super dry. So maybe we go for one of these towns. Yeah, I think we go for it. We can't go too far wrong in the middle. Opponent with a similar idea, and it was a bit further north there. Okay, this is looking like the British Isles. Marlies. We've got some white building over there. More white buildings. Yeah, this has got to be Ireland, I think. Northern Ireland is possible, but this is a very Irish scene to me. You tend not to, in the UK, have lots of white buildings like this. It's not impossible, but we tend to build more out of brick. Anyway, a little bit further north, perhaps closer to Northern Ireland. And it feels quite coastal as well, so I'm going to hedge over towards the coast. Opponent goes in the middle. Oh, and it was Cornwall. Yeah, you know what? No, the coastal feeling was right. Cornwall is a very unique part of England, and it is actually one of the few places where you do see lots of white architecture like that. But it just didn't occur to me in the moment. It was very Irish looking, the Celtic influence. Anyway, we're in the southern hemisphere here. White in the middle, yellow on the outside for the road lines, so this has got to be South Africa, I would say. Botswana, possible, but not likely, I think. And yeah, I'm not going to go too far outside of Johannesburg. Not too far from the Botswanan border. Opponent a bit further south, and it was Botswana. So hey, there you go. At least it occurred to me. That's the second time on this video that we've had a Botswanan round mistaken for South Africa. Okay, we're back in Europe. And the copyright is 2023. Germany and France possible. There's something a little bit Baltic about it, but actually I'd say it's a bit too lush for that. but it's also got this kind of remoteness to it. So I may be even thinking about Poland here. I maybe go on the tri-point between the three countries here. Germany, Czechia and Poland. Opponent with the same idea, and hey, it was the Baltics, it was Latvia. I think we'll give a wave to our opponent there, having the same idea. Alright, this is Kyrgyzstan. Once you've seen it enough times, you just recognise it, but ways of recognising it is you get this... is this autumn or spring coverage? I think this is autumn, isn't it? With the yellowing leaves. You get the roof rack on the car and these big wide roads. So anyway, we're on actually a north to south road here, which is a bit unusual for the country. Generally, you see stuff going east to west. Didn't find the road there, but yeah, right on the border there with Kazakhstan. Okay, driving on the left. Looks like another South Africa-Botswana toss-up. And I think I've got to go Botswana this time. I've just got to do it. It's the rule of three. Yeah. Not too far from the border. Opponent goes further south. Okay, and well, this time it was South Africa. What can you do? Just outside of Uppington or Oopington, maybe? Maybe more of a Dutch influence there. Okay, I cannot read that, but is that is a Finnish flag, and that is, isn't that a Cambodian flag? What's going on here? Where are we? I think the sun is over this way, but I can't tell for certain. Yeah. I'm going to go for Cambodia. I think that's a Cambodian flag over there. Where is more mountainous? Maybe more over here. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know if they've even got the right continent. Nice. Okay, yeah, it was Cambodia. Right on the border with Thailand there. And that is the game. I did not recognize that as a Cambodian landscape, but I did recognize the flag, and that was basically all we needed. So, we are at the top of the leaderboard so far this week. I'm going to return in the next probably 2 videos to finish off the 20 games for this week, and I think it's fairly safe to say that we're going to storm into the Master 2 division. But we'll see how many, or hopefully how few, defeats I suffer along the way. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. Since you've made it this far, why not leave a like and subscribe for more GeoGuessr videos and street view explorations of noteworthy locations.